Welcome to Demolition Success Secrets, the podcast that's changing the game for demolition businesses everywhere. Ever wondered how a wrecking ball wielding industry can leverage digital marketing to dominate their market? Well, we've got the blueprints, strategies, expert guests, and more to show you how. Stay tuned, because we're about to blast through the barriers of your business.
Alrighty, guys, we got a treat today. We got another episode of Demolition Success Secrets, and we got G&G on the podcast. What is going on?
Not much, man. How are you today?
I'm doing good. I like all the swag you guys have. I like the hat. You got the shirt, everything.
Man, we have to. We kind of put that as free advertising.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, you can go wrap vehicles, and I don't know. I sometimes I want to say, put up a billboard, but no one in the business ever puts up a billboard. The injury attorneys and realtors are too busy taking those up.
Yeah, they really are.
It's crazy. I wonder, how much of those billboards actually distract people enough that they're getting in injuries, and the accident attorneys are like, yes, it's a double win.
Right? Man,
Crazy.
You know what? Now that you mention that, it's probably more true than any of us think.
Right. Yeah, it's like, okay, so not only am I going to get a client, but I'm helping the accidents increase. But
right.
Yeah, man.
Exactly.
Tell me about you. Tell me how you got in the business.
Man, I've been on equipment since I was in diapers. It was a
Don't tell insurance that.
no. I was This is the second generation. My dad and my uncle started in the 70s. And then I took over when my uncle retired. I took over with me and my dad in 2008. Things were really, really, really rough. Now, I had worked for them since I was, 12, 13 years old, washing dump trucks every weekend, washing equipment every weekend. I got the grunt work, and then I worked with my dad for up until 2008, all through college, all through high school, all through middle school. Doing the grunt work. I mean, I was real good with a shovel for a really long time. And he never really let me touch a piece of equipment until I learned all that grunt work. And then finally, when it was my time, I took over, started getting work. I don't know if you really remember in like between 08, 09, the economy crashed. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I watched my dad and my uncle lose stuff, left and right, and they just kept what was really necessary. And then my uncle decided to retire.
Okay.
And honestly, when I took over, Craigslist was like a lifesaver.
Really?
I would put ads on Craigslist, and that's how we got our work.
Crazy. Okay.
Doing things that we wouldn't really do. Like we were cleaning out culvert pipes, and we were, cutting trees down. Whatever we could possibly get that involved equipment, we were doing. Just to survive. And then people started seeing us because we went through a name change, and people kind of forgot who we were. So we had to get back out there. And, one thing led to another, and we finally got back in with one builder and then another builder, and it just picked up from there. But I would say for a good 5 or 6 years, things were a bit rough, but we made it through. Lot of buying equipment, used equipment, and fixing it ourselves.
Right.
Buying used parts and putting them on because they were better than what we had.
That's crazy. So Craigslist, that's kind of cool. That's the first I ever heard that. I like that. I thought you were gonna say we got in a whole nother business. Craigslist, that's so crazy. Okay, so on Craigslist, were you who were you finding? What kind of project scopes were they looking for usually?
I would kind of focus on anything that had to do with dirt work or excavation. We would get real small demos. Like sheds or interior demos. Like we were doing stuff that we didn't really always do, but
Okay.
if it involved equipment, we did it.
Okay.
But it was
Interesting. That's
it was
wild.
a lot of private, private homeowners and stuff like that.
Okay. That's wild. Okay. Man, I'm just wrapping my head around that. That's so cool. What made you think that that would work? Because I respect the heck out of that option. That's awesome. A lot of people would probably be like, no, we're not going to go do that. And you're like, hey, man, we're surviving out here. Like, we're trying to get by.
And that's kind of what led me to it. I was like, well, what's the worst can happen? I'll put up an ad, here's what we do, and I would get, I would get 2 or 3 phone calls a day off of it.
Wild. That's amazing. That's cool. Do you still do it? I'm curious.
No, Craigslist has fallen off, and I still try and advertise on Facebook a lot.
Okay.
It's crazy how much people interact on social media. To the point where, like, I almost have to have somebody advertising for me all the time, or I'm doing it. Any free time I get, I'm putting up some kind of ad to let people know what we're doing.
Okay, interesting. We'll have to talk at the end of the podcast on that. there's
Oh,
there's a lot that can be done. And a lot of the people we work with are specifically like in demo, some excavation, land clearing, but primarily demo. They want to tear at least a house and bigger down. And
right.
like the phone just ring for these guys. Their emails
Yeah.
get flooded, the phones ring, it's GCs, it's developers, it's insurance. Like I heard a story not too long ago. I had a client send me a news clipping and he was like, check this out. I'm like, why are you sending this to me? And it was these two crazy people got arrested. They were doing fireworks in the courtyard of their apartment complex. Like really stupid. Shouldn't have done that. And yeah, they burned down the top few floors. And obviously, everyone had to leave, on the
Right.
premise and it's gated off and stuff. And my client was like, man, that was like a $750,000 bid you got us. And they called us up and said, hey, I guess in the rapport they were building, they were like, you're the first ones we called. If you come through with a decent estimate, you can get this done quick. We're motivated. Like, we need to get this job taken care of because we want to get our cash flow back with tenants and stuff.
Right.
That's cool. So you're kind of I don't want to say you're a nerd, but I'm a nerd. Like I use the internet so people can make money. And, we help customers or clients that are out there in the world of our clients get good service. Like, connect good people with good people.
Right. No, I agree, and it's just something that has to be done, and how the times are now, it's free, so why not do it?
Yeah. Okay. So tell me and share with the audience because Facebook, I'm very much in like cookie cutter ads from the sense of we want to make sure we're doing ads. We're not doing like social media marketing and stuff. So how can someone become good using the internet the way that you do to generate business?
So the way I do it is any job that we do, I make sure that the first thing I do is take a before, and then
Mm,
I take an after. We also do heavy hauls, so we haul heavy equipment for private guys, for some of the smaller rental companies, some of the dealers. We do heavy hauls, so I'll make sure that I take a picture of us loading the machine, delivering the machine, any kind of pictures or videos that you can get. You put those in a post on Facebook and tag your business in it, and just post it, and that gets shared. I've had posts shared thousands of times.
wow. Huh.
Just by this person shared it on this person's page, and then this person, it's just a domino effect.
That's really cool. Okay. So you're not necessarily doing like paid ads or,
No.
call us at this number immediately for a special deal or a free inspection or free estimate. It's more kind of organic.
Yes, absolutely.
That's super cool. All right. So for like a normal post, do you know, like, is there metrics of how many calls come in from a normal post or how many emails, for stuff that really comes through?
I'll probably get, for every one post, I'll probably get 2 or 3 calls.
Wow. That's
And
cool.
a lot of it's just shopping. I'm not gonna say that
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say that I get everything, but just having, people know the name of my company, because it's G&G Site Service. So they're like, oh, we should call them guys. And then they'll see my trucks
Mm,
around, they'll see my trucks around town, somebody wearing a hat, somebody wearing a shirt. They'll be like, oh, well, let's call them guys, see if they do it.
got it. Very cool. All right. I dig that. That's awesome. I've never actually had anyone tell me that. That's super, super cool. I love that. So you get good photos before and after, some video where possible. Now, where are you putting it other than Facebook? Are you putting it on Instagram, TikTok, any other spots?
Facebook and Instagram. I'm not a TikTok guy. That's just not. So I'm just. I try not to distract myself too much throughout the day. But
Or
yeah, mostly mostly Facebook and Instagram.
okay. And I couldn't see you dancing like a lot of these people on TikTok. I know I wouldn't be dancing. You
No,
don't want to see me try to dance.
no, it would be really bad.
Oh, that's funny. Just like on some rubble, like, you just knock the place down. It would get a lot of views. I don't know if it would get a lot of business. Maybe, who knows?
Yeah.
Might be the next recommendation. Like, just tell all of our clients, like, hey, if you have someone at the company who can dance really well, like,
Right.
oh, that's funny. Okay, cool. So, can you maybe share some of the companies that are listening right now, or team members who are listening right now? They haven't been through a downturn. I'm thinking more of the newer companies, things like that. Even if it's been a few years in business, they didn't go through '07 through '09 kind of times. So, can you give kind of some wisdom from what you witnessed during those times? Obviously, find a mechanism to get opportunities, whatever that is. I don't care if it's stand on a street corner, flipping a sign. Like, I don't
Yes.
recommend that per se, but if that's the difference of you being in business and not, um,
Exactly.
do something. So, what are some of those, I guess we'll say it like survival things that you learned from that time in the business?
What I saw, the downfall of a lot of people in our area was them going and getting too much new stuff at one time and then not owning anything.
Mm,
What I would recommend to anybody is try and get something, let's say a skid steer. If you can get a skid steer paid off and own it, that's such a big thing to own stuff that
right.
it's crazy. Because I just see a lot of fly by night guys that they'll go out and finance a
Mm,
bunch of equipment. They'll finance the truck, the trailer, the machine. They'll go out and underbid a bunch of guys, and they'll be real busy, but they're not getting anywhere. And
right.
then say the economy crashes, you can't make those monthly payments, then you have nothing.
Mm,
So I really don't recommend for the smaller guys to go and buy a bunch of new stuff. Yeah, new stuff's nice, but if you can go and get something decent and get through until you can afford, I didn't buy a new piece of equipment until 2021. That
okay.
was my very first new piece of equipment.
That's
Every
cool. What'd you get? It must have been something special.
I got my very first new piece of equipment was a 289 high flow cat skid steer.
Cool.
And then 6 months later, we got another one.
Mm,
And then 2023, we bought a 135 John Deere. That was our first really, really big purchase.
okay.
And then that springboarded us into buying a low boy and a trailer, and then we bought a heavy haul trailer. So it was just kind of a springboard thing.
That's cool. Love that. All right. Yeah. So, I mean, it sounds like a lot of it is cover your bases, tuck away as much money as you can. It's okay to be thrifty. You don't need the big F-350 truck off the bat. You don't need
You
the
don't.
biggest, newest piece of equipment. That's funny.
Yeah,
Do
you
you
really,
think a lot of people fall for that too, right? They fall on this
man.
trap.
You did. I've seen it. I mean, I've seen it time and time again, and it's just
Mm,
if I could know what I know now back then,
yeah.
I wouldn't have bought some stuff back then that, so we had to give a lot of stuff back.
Yeah. It's tough. And I think in my world with business, like I've had a lot of wins and there's certainly losses. There's a thing that sounds so silly. I watch it with my cousin about a jewelry guy up in New York, and he sells like watches and stuff. And he just bought like a fake, and it's so stupid. My cousin's like killing him. My cousin loves watches. He's crazy. Me, I'm just kind of interested. He's like, this guy's an idiot. He's losing all of his credibility, blah, blah. And I'm like, hey man, like, this is business, bro. Like, you don't understand, in business, there are wins and losses. This guy may have won 90 times. There's going to be 10 losses out of that 100%. And a 90 in school, last I checked, is still an A. So,
Yeah. Yep.
like, now listening to people like you who are authentic and transparent and have seen the goods and bads, by all means, man, I've taken some bad losses. I wish I would have listened a little closer to people and not been so bullish, because sometimes when you're just boom, boom, winning, you're on fire. And that's when, even in demolition, you'll see, I've heard so many stories of the guy who's done it for 30 years. That's when the safety issues can come up. It's not necessarily the guy who just started. The guy who just started still kind of maybe cautious. Sometimes the more confident you are, sometimes arrogance can come with that, or like a God effect. Like, I got all this money. Of course I could buy the equipment. The sales guy asked me if I want to buy another piece 6 months from now. Yeah. Like,
yeah,
it's okay
right.
to slow down.
You get that invincible thing going on, like, there's nothing that can stop me now, and then you get humbled real quick.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear that. So that must have been amazing for them, because how long were they in business roughly? I assume they did things pretty clean, and then the economy, and that's when things kind of changed. How long were they going before that occurred?
They started in 77.
Wow, man. And they had never experienced anything like that.
My dad told me that they, in the early 80s, they had a rough time, but he said they were able to find work by word of mouth.
Okay. Way before Craigslist.
That's
before. Wild.
He told me that they had cell phones, but it was a briefcase.
Right. Yeah. That's funny. I even remember the cars. I mean, not like I was around during them, but I've seen them where they had it like, you lift up the glove box and it's like a BMW branded phone, and I don't know, it's crazy expensive. Okay,
yeah, no, and
interesting.
That's what he said. He said they had one and it was in a briefcase.
Crazy. Now, what did they think? Like, so you guys went through this. You were able to be the young, smart, guys. You may not believe in this. You may not even agree with me doing this Craigslist and other mechanisms. What did they think? They must have been like, thank God, good on you.
Pretty much. They're like, they were kind of at a loss. Like, what are we going to do? And I was like, hey, let's try this. And, computers weren't even really, I would do it on the computer, but I'd also do it. I was mostly my phone.
Okay.
I'd put an ad up on my phone. I had the Craigslist app, and, I'd get phone calls and I'd be like, hey, we got work today.
That's amazing. Yeah, they must have been so spellbound. Like, what do you mean? How long did it take for them to buy into that? Like a few weeks, where they're like, oh, this is real, this is consistent. He's not kidding around. Like, these are real estimates and these are real jobs.
Yeah, right. No, it didn't even take, it only took a couple jobs.
Wow, that's cool, man. Props to you. I think a lot of people would have lied down and just said, it's over, it's done. We had a good few decades. That's amazing to go for decades and things just stop like that.
And it was a literal halt. Like, they went from having 10 dump trucks and 2 full crews. And our full crews consisted of a lowboy, a front end loader, a skid steer, and a grading tractor. They had 2 of those running all around town, and it was a stop.
Now, who do we blame for that? Like, not that time's still around or anything like that, but is it the media? Is it the news? I guess those are the same. Is it the banks? Like, was there something that because construction and demolition, excavation, all those things, you think it just keeps going. Like people need homes, people need places to shop, that kind of thing. Was there a culprit that you guys kind of figured out and you said, well, the bank scared the news scared the consumer scared their relatives? Like,
And I kind of think you hit it right on the head there. I think it started with the banks, and then once the media got a hold of it, that just, I mean, media makes things crazy, and
mm,
you never know what to believe when it comes to the media. You don't
right.
know if it's true or not, and it scared people, and
Mm,
then things just plummeted. I mean, it like stopped. Nobody wanted to
crazy.
spend anything.
I never understood. I don't know. We all have different mindsets. I guess you would probably, be with me on this side. Like the bills still come. That means the money still, like stuff has to churn somewhere, everywhere.
Right, right. And I'm still not sure to this day why we have ups and downs like that. You know,
Mm,
right now here in Florida, I understand why everything's so busy is because of the storm.
sure.
And people are rebuilding from that. There's years in itself of rebuilding.
Mm,
There's still houses that haven't been torn down yet from the storm that are still waiting to be torn down.
yeah. I looked the other day. I forget what part because I live in Florida too. I'm in St. Pete, and I looked. I don't know. It was a little south, maybe it was. I don't even know. It was something I looked up. Maybe it was a park or something. And I looked and I saw all this blue. And I was like, what the heck? Why is there all this blue? And I was looking from a really high distance up. And I scrolled down, scrolled down, scrolled down. And I'm like, oh, that's all houses that need new roofs. And it was nothing but, like tarp everywhere, all over
Yep.
these houses. I just, I couldn't believe I'd never seen anything like that in my life on Google Earth, and I was like, "What the heck? This is crazy."
And it's crazy because it's still like that after what's it been a year, over a year, over almost two, right?
Yeah, crazy. And I mean, how much of that do you guys come into? Like, I want to kind of parlay into your business with the majority of what you guys are doing. Like, can you help break down? I know you do a number of things. What are kind of the main components of what you're doing amongst demolition? Just kind of give me the basic few things that you guys are spending most of your time on.
We spend a lot of our time on we do residential demolition, so so houses,
Right.
single family. Very rarely, we're not set up to do really big commercial stuff.
Hmm.
Um, we do residential clearing. Um, we don't ever venture into anything over like 5 acres when it comes to clearing, and even at 5 acres, that's a lot for us.
Okay.
And we do residential grading.
Okay.
For I I don't do much cookie cutter homes, I guess you'd call them. Like big national
Sure.
builders. I do more custom homes. Um,
Okay.
kind of stuff like that. I stick towards that, and I always have. Not to say that I wouldn't do the cookie cutter stuff because it is very lucrative, but
Mm,
you just got to be set up completely different to do it.
makes sense.
But yeah,
Cool.
that's mostly what we do.
Okay. Is there any sort of like, if you were to say a percentage of the pies, like what those representations are?
Our big thing is the residential grading. Like that's what we're
Mm,
known for.
that's cool. Yeah, it's nice. It's like kind of having that niche, and obviously too, like you're talking about, and for our audience to listen, like having your business set up to flourish for certain things is beneficial. What do you think of people who they don't have a focus? Like they kind of do a little bit of everything. Is that good to an extent because they're covering the bases, or is that bad because they're hurting themselves from really deep diving?
I don't really think it's a bad thing, but I think eventually you're gonna have to pick something to
Mm,
specialize in. Like that's what this company's known for. I wouldn't say, I would never say that it's bad to do, like everything, but that also falls into being bad because then them guys, those certain guys don't know how to price things,
Right.
and
Sure.
that hurts us guys that do it every day.
Yeah. Tell me about the chuck in a truck. How does that go?
Man, it's bad. It's bad here.
Yeah.
Like it's
Sure.
like, I let's say we got a 2,000 square foot house and
Mhm.
we bring in 40 loads of dirt for a pad. I personally charge $1,200 to grade and compact it. Like you said, Chuck in a truck will come along and he'll cut my price in half.
Oh man. Okay.
So
Mm.
we deal with a lot of that. And the way I go about dealing with it is I just kind of try and sell my experience, my how we're doing it as opposed to how they're going to do it.
Right.
You
Okay.
know, we run a 16,000 pound vibratory roller on it. They're going to run their skid steer back and forth.
Mm.
Technically, they'll both pass compaction, but
Okay.
which one's going to be better in the long run?
Right. And maybe that's kind of where I'm hearing you on the custom homes and things like that. Like people who really give a crap about quality and
Over,
standards and not
yep,
cutting corners.
yes, quality over
Huh.
quantity, and you'll hear that. I've had builders tell me, "Oh no, we're worried about quantity over quality."
Interesting. Okay. That's fascinating. And they'll say that straight up. Okay.
Oh yeah,
Huh.
I've gotten it a few times, and I'm like, "Well, I'm sorry, but I'm not putting my name on it."
Yeah, that's fair. That's awesome. That's good that you're at the point that you can do that because a lot of people like the whole truck in a truck type of thing is they're like, hey man, any money's good money. It's like, I guess, but like, how would you feel if that was going to be your home or your property? Like, that's
And that's kind of how I try and sell myself. Like, if it were me, this is what I would want to do.
right.
I've learned over the years that I'd rather spend the money up front and have it done the right way the first time, and not
Mm,
have to go back and fix cracks in my foundation, you know,
right.
6 or 8 years down the road.
Yeah, it's funny. I've had a pretty big experience with foundation and crawl space companies. When I
Uh huh.
started my firm years ago, we kind of worked with a lot of different businesses and found out, demolition was a really big thing. And also foundation waterproofing was a really big thing that we could like crush it for our clients.
Right.
And boy, oh my gosh, this foundation issue. And I'd go out with the crews, both demolition and foundation, and I'd look at it and I'd be like, who the heck did that? Like, what? Why is this so common, man? Like, why is this so prevalent? This is
And
nuts.
to get back on that subject of demolition, you go and tear a house down from, let's say, the 70s, and then you go and tear a house down that was damaged in a storm that you say was built, let's say, 2000s.
Mhm.
That house puts up way more of a fight from the 70s than the one that was just built in 2000.
Yeah, interesting. So you're not a guy who's down to buy a new house. If you have to buy a house, you're looking for something with some age to it.
I would much rather. I would much rather, because for whatever reason, guys back then took a little bit of pride in what they do, not just worried about
Yeah,
money.
right. And now I think they call it bricks and sticks. Like it's,
Y- yep,
they'll check some boxes and make sure that it's weatherproofed and can handle storms to an extent and stuff. But
kind
it
of
is
just going through
different.
the motions. And I don't know about you or a lot of people listening, but if my name's going to be on it, my sign's going to be out front, I want to make sure it's right.
Yeah, sure. And do you think a lot of that maybe stems from your family and the history there? Like some of these
It
guys who are newer, they just care about money and getting to the next job.
it very well could. And I wasn't raised like that. I wasn't taught like that.
Hmm.
Spend the time and get it done, because if you got to come back to fix it, you're fixing it for free. That's
Mm,
not an upcharge. So you're losing money instead
right.
of spending that extra 2 or 3 hours to getting it done right and not rushing, or staying, that extra hour to get the rest of the house down and make sure everything's out of the ground and cleaned up, instead of having to go back because somebody complained.
Got it.
And it goes on both sides, of the demolition side and the grading side.
Got it. That's fair. How much do permits kind of come into things, and are they a headache, or do you guys have expedition?
Permits can, man, they can bite you. They can. There's no rhyme or reason to any of it. Sometimes we get them back real quick, and it's like, whoa, that was fast. And then sometimes we got a call, and it takes 2 or 3 months. And man,
Wow.
I don't care how much you tell the customer, they just don't understand unless they were somehow in some kind of construction or whatever. I'm dealing with that right now. Like, I pre-warned this guy, like, listen, the last permit I pulled took 3.5 months.
Jeez.
And he's like, no, I completely understand. I was an HVAC contractor for years up north. I was like, oh, thank God.
He understands. He gets it.
He totally understood. So I was like, okay, this won't be so bad.
That's cool. Yeah, what a weird thing. Is that any part of like Expeditors? Have you guys kind of used any of those services? Are they valuable? Is it waste of time?
I've never personally used them.
Okay.
But from what I've heard, they do make things a lot less stressful and a lot easier.
But yeah, I
man,
wonder what do they do? They have their relationships? Is that what they're
I'm sure
is?
it's all about who you know, not what you know sometimes.
Interesting. That's so funny. Like insider workers for hire. They're like not even in the government or what have you, but they used to be or something. And
Yeah, and I think that's what it is. And if you know a certain person at the county or whatever, you can get things done.
Crazy. Crazy. Well, do you have any fun demo stories perhaps, or just job stories that were crazy or big or weird or strange, like a hoarder's house that had to come down or anything?
Oh, we actually, now that you bring that up, we tore down an old jail from the 50s. And
Cool.
man, that was some of the creepiest stuff that I think I've seen. Like, it was just, like the hair would stand up on your arms when you walk down certain hallways.
Right.
It was a decent sized prison, and like, and the way this was set up, it was out in are you familiar with like where the Miccosukee Reservation is?
I am
In South
not.
Florida. Okay, well, they have an area called the Panther Preserve, and it's
Okay. I'll look it up.
for panthers. And there was this jail that was in there. It was an abandoned jail.
Huh.
And this was actually a joint venture with somebody else. We kind of went in there and helped somebody finish.
Okay.
And we actually came in there at night one time, and you could actually hear the panthers talking to each other.
Whoa.
And there was a moat that was dug all the way around this prison, and it had 4 corners and they had that thing they called the gun line. Like, we were listening.
Okay.
The owner was telling us all this, but it had 4 posts. There was no fences. They had the moat, and they had those 4, and they called it the gun line.
Wow. And then if you made
Yeah.
it out, I guess the Panthers are a concern in and of itself.
The Panthers and the Gators, yeah.
Whoa, that's insane. Okay. No fence because they knew. Okay. That's wild. Never heard of
Yeah.
that. And the moat
It
too
was,
had gator. I didn't even think about it. I'm just thinking of the moat, there's water and blah blah. The gators are up in there. Interesting.
yeah. You could hear them at night too. It was just creepy, man. It was just, but it was kind of fun. But the
That's
amount
cool.
of I think we hauled out like 40 or 50 loads of concrete out of there.
Wow.
Between the slab and the walls, and everything was way over poured. Like, it's just like they took the truck and just dumped it until it was full.
Right. Yeah. That's
And then
cool.
then they finished. That was a cool one. Hoarders' houses are always quite interesting.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't know about other guys, but I do like tearing down older houses. Um,
Okay.
what you find in the walls is kind of cool. Like
Mm,
you always find old Coke bottles or beer bottles and in the walls, and you'll find like they used to stuff the cells with old newspapers and stuff. And if you
okay.
look,
Oh,
it's just kind of cool. I'm like I'm kind of a history buff sometimes, and old stuff like that is cool. Like the original Pepsi cans that had the pie shaped opening when you open them,
yeah, right. Yep.
and the old original Pepsi logo. Like you'll find stuff like that.
That's cool. Have you ever, I mean, those are like nice little things for yourself. And have you ever found anything that was like, whoa, like a big pile of money and we need to call the cops? Or it's Florida, let's be honest, sometimes drugs, something crazy at one of these houses, like a trap house that need to be torn down or.
Never found anything like that. We found probably a couple grand in a trailer that we tore down. That was hiding in
Cool.
the floor.
Interesting.
Um,
Whoa.
yeah, it was hiding in the floor, and I guess the owner had dementia and he forgot where it was,
Oh, man.
and we ended up giving that back to him. But no, I've never actually found anything exciting like that. I've heard stories, but never
Mm.
never anything really cool like that have we found.
Yeah, secret room, and I don't even know. I'm sure there's some crazy stuff that could be found in some houses. Like,
I can almost guarantee it.
that's insane. Well, cool, man. I want to be respectful of your time with this. Any other big takeaways that you want to share with the audience in terms of things to avoid in the business, things to maybe implement more of, how to grow, any of those kind of takeaways?
Um, what I have learned is, as far as when you bid a job, you need to make sure that the way things are now, you need to make sure that your customer has signed that proposal, and you need to make sure that the customer understands your payment schedule.
Okay.
Like, hey, I need half upfront, I need 30% upfront, and I need the rest when we're done. That's a
Mm,
really big thing, because I hate to say it, but there's a lot of people that will try and screw you out of that last little bit of money or that last bit of money, or they'll make you
right.
wait. I'm not going to call myself a big company, but our last 3, maybe 4 years, we've grossed like our last 2 years, we've grossed over $2 million.
Okay.
I still can't go more than maybe 2 weeks waiting to get paid, and
Right. Sure.
that needs to be put up front. Anybody that you work for, listen, I've got to get paid, you know, pretty quick,
Mm.
because of the money that we have to front. It's a lot, and
Oh, yeah.
I still can't front. I can't do the 30-day, 90, 60. I can't do that, and I have to make that known up front. And it kind of, I mean, I hate to be like that, but it's kind of how it has to be nowadays.
Right. Explicit
And
kind of thing. It's not like an implied, like, hey, we got plenty of money. It'll come when it comes.
yeah, we just, that has to be put up front and understood. And a handshake anymore, it really doesn't mean anything. It's sad
Yeah.
that we've come to that, but it just doesn't.
Right. There's too many lawyers in between the hands, too
And
many
and
loopholes and junk.
so I've learned to make sure, because I have gotten beat out of quite a lot of money.
Sure.
And even if do your notice to owner and lien the job, you're still not guaranteed to get paid.
Right. Yeah. No, it hurts. It's a big thing in the industry in general. We are always constantly trying to find solutions for that because I can't tell you like how often, be it getting paid, payment terms, deposits, everyone, it's kind of weird. Like, there's best practices in certain businesses for some reason in demo. It's just not a thing where people across the board say, hey, for every job, it's 30% down. And then we do it in 2 milestones because otherwise it's 70%. We got to wait on the completion. I mean, there's not even really like consultants or anything in the space where there's, I don't know, do you know like a guy like Grant Cardone, like these sales guys or any of these people on YouTube? Or
I
like
don't.
gurus? Okay.
Yeah,
There's like gurus and stuff. There's none of those for demo, or there's, in all the interviews I've done, which is quite a few, no one has said, yeah, man, like everyone just does this. It's kind of unique.
everybody has their own ways of doing it. Me
Right.
personally, I do a 50-50.
Okay.
50 up front to get the permit started, and then
Hmm.
50, I'll either say when we're done, or I'll say, after the final inspection. But
Okay.
sometimes there's not a final inspection. They go right into building a new house.
Right.
And nothing gets done. So then I say, when we're done, I got to get paid.
Got it. Got it. And do you have a team member who chases that, or is that mainly you who have to
I'm the team
chase?
member.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
do I do all the billing. I do, all the advertising. I do I do estimates, try and meet with customers, try and calm customers down.
A
We
lot.
haven't we have
Lot.
we
I
haven't
couldn't imagine all that.
yeah, we haven't gotten to that point where I can hire somebody to
Hmm.
do that. Maybe one day, maybe not.
Right. Yeah, and it's cool that you have that mindset, because a lot of people, they chase big, 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 and with big come big problems too. I mean, problems can happen at any stage, but man, having a $20 million problem versus a $20,000 problem, like,
Big difference.
it's different. Big difference. Yeah, I don't even know sometimes when you see these numbers get thrown around, you're just like, man, or just payroll. Like some payrolls is $1 million a year just for payroll.
Yep.
You know how much business you got to do, and God forbid you look at the insurance premiums and stuff. Like,
Oh, we're not even going to get into insurance stuff.
yeah.
That's a whole nother podcast in itself, man.
Yeah, insurance. We've had some insurance experts on the podcast, and they're awesome. They really are. And they care. They truly do care. They're not like slicksters. They've been in the business for, some of them, decades and things. And it is really interesting to understand the behind the scenes and figure out, oh, that's why you're in this business. Like, they
Right.
care too. But when I hear the numbers, I'm like, wait, the premium for that company is 500,000 a year, and you pocket how much of that? Like, whoa, oh my God,
Like,
that's
man, we're in the wrong
nuts.
business.
Right, like you're not going on job sites, you're not taking the risk, like you're a middleman, and I respect the heck out of that. Like someone has to do it. And they've come on this podcast, so nothing, against it, but like, okay, that's pretty cool. All right.
Right.
I get it. And they're not, as you're kind of detailing, I'm a business owner as well. Like, we have to wear a lot of hats. They have a lot of time and effort. And we could say this about people in the equipment business, or, all the different fields around this world. But, we're the ones who have to wear a million hats. For them, they have one avenue and one lane. Like, I just need to know the insurance really well. I need to bring business in, keep the business. And for the most part, that's kind of, the focus.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I deal with a lot of salesmen, and some of them I really like, and some of them I really don't.
Yeah. All right. Tell me about that real quick. What are the likes and dislikes? So people, we of course have vendors who listen. How can they be a friend of yours versus an enemy, or disliked by you guys?
I'm a person that I don't much like to be pushed. Like, if I call, I want to, or I send a message or email, and I want to know something about a certain piece of equipment or attachment or something. Um, I don't want to be asked about it every single day.
Hmm.
Like, hey, what do you think? Hey, what do you think? Hey, what do you think? Listen, man, I'll get back to you. I said, I'm in the middle of running a company.
Right.
Just let me know what I asked you, and I'll let you know.
Mm,
And
that makes
the two salesmen that I know that I'm very they do things, pretty much how I just said. I bought 10 trucks from one guy, and I bought 5
Wow.
or 6 pieces of equipment from the other.
Mhm.
You know, like I call and ask about something. He's like, give me a couple days, I'll find out. Or
Right.
I ask him, hey, what would you choose? This, or this? And he'll be like, well, for what you do, I would choose this. And I take his word because I trust him.
Right.
When
That's
it comes
cool.
to spending that kind of money, you kind of want to find somebody that you can trust.
Yeah, who's it's not their first day on the job, like, "I don't know, let me give you the
And
most expensive thing and let's hope it sticks."
right, and if either of these guys, if they don't know, they put the effort in to find out. They'll be like, "Man, I really don't know, but I'll find out for you."
Cool.
That goes a really long way with me.
Yeah.
N-
It's kind of an
not
old
giving
school
me
way.
not giving me this BS. And I'm also kind of a guy, I do a lot of research myself, especially on
Okay.
equipment. I'll watch videos, I'll talk to other guys, I'll read articles, and then I'll go ask the
Mm,
salesman and see what he really knows.
okay. Makes
I'll pick
sense.
out
That's cool.
I'll I'll pick out stupid questions, like,
Yes, yeah. I do the same
and
thing.
if they give me some BS answer, I'm like, yeah, you don't know what you're talking about, do you?
Yeah, they lose credibility. It is kinda
Yeah.
I mentioned that old school. I had a girlfriend many years ago, and her dad, he was a sales guy, he did advertising. One of his big things that he would say, if he didn't know something, of course, he knew a lot, but sometimes stuff would come up. He'd say, "I don't have an answer, but I'm gonna get you an answer." Like, that was his thing. Older guy, I don't know, he's probably 70 now. But yeah, a lot of people, they will make something up. They'll be on the computer. Let me see real quick. Oh yeah, yeah, I know exactly the answer. And it's like, wait, you just Googled for 5 seconds. This is more complex than that. Like,
Yeah,
come
yeah.
on,
No, I'd rather
crazy.
hear that. And it's funny because the guy that I buy trucks from, his boss sold my dad probably 50 trucks.
Wow. Huh.
They've known each other literally since 1980, and he's still at the same dealer. That's why I buy trucks from them.
Jeez, that's
Almost
crazy.
almost strictly because of the relationship I have with that dealer.
Mm, that's amazing. That's a lot of business over time, and clearly they've taken care of you. They haven't tried to wamboozle, and I'm sure stuff comes up, but when it comes up, they handle it.
It does. Mistakes have happened, things that have gotten, misunderstood, but it gets taken care of.
Right. That's cool. All right. Well, tell me any plans for the future. Like we kind of talked about, sometimes growing and scaling isn't always the end all be all. But do you guys have any, 3 years down the road, 5 years down the road, next year, what have you? Is there any kind of trajectory, or is it just keep on rocking, keep doing good quality, and if you grow, you grow?
We're kind of looking at the if we grow, we grow. We're gonna see what comes. We have some things that have been presented to us that could make us take that next step in hiring more operators and um hiring more drivers and stuff. But we're not gonna gear up for it yet until paperwork and stuff is signed, and we know that
Mm,
the work is there.
got it.
Kind of
Got it.
like I
Got
was
it.
talking about that whole cookie cutter home thing. We've been presented some work to where we could get into that, but
Okay.
it's gonna take um some money to go that direction,
Right.
to grow, and to be able to do that, because like you said, with the there's gonna be some real big headaches.
Right. Yeah. As much as they spin it and try to get your buy-in, oh, it's gonna be great. You're gonna make a ton of money. You guys gonna, you know, get rich overnight. And you're like, yeah, yeah,
Right.
okay. It's not
Yeah,
my first
right.
rodeo.
No, and that's kind of how I'm looking at it. But we've also, like I said earlier, we've gone to um moving heavy equipment. So we're gonna kind of push that a little bit and see where it goes.
Cool. Super cool.
You
All
know,
right. Well,
it's
we'll
that's kind of that whole heavy equipment thing. That's kind of like every little boy's dream to be able to move, equipment around. That's kind of
Right.
how we're looking. That's kind of how we're looking at it.
Move it and use it. That's for sure. Are you going to be, I don't know if you guys do this, but the National Demolition Association has their like 50th anniversary next week. Yeah, next week. Is that something that you guys are in associations or go to events?
We are not, but I would like to.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. They have some cool, we just mentioning the moving and stuff, and I was kind of adding in the whole using the stuff. I know at that event, it's a big deal, but it's in Texas next week in San Antonio, and they have like a portion of it, which they added in the last few years, that's like live equipment.
Uh-huh.
uh, I guess demos of demolition equipment. It's pretty funny and corny. You get to demo this stuff, and they like actually. It's not just moving it around and kind of driving it. Like they actually have setups where you can practice breaking down concrete, and you could, cut steel with the shears, and like actually pretty cool stuff. Trying the new
pretty
equipment.
cool.
Yeah, I thought
That's
it was
pretty cool.
awesome.
That's
I
funny
had
that you say that.
Why is that?
We just got in. We have a customer of ours, and me and him work back and forth. But I'm actually going to give you his contact information. He'd be a good person to have.
Yeah, I
He
would
just
love that.
started. He opened up a crushing. He has a crusher, and
Cool.
he just bought a brand new machine with a pulverizer on it to
Nice.
to crush concrete. So he started that whole recycled concrete in our area is very big.
Interesting. Okay.
Like it's a very big business. Then there's two or three really big companies that do it, and he just got into it.
Cool.
And yeah, the amount of money that he has spent to get set up is insane.
Oh, is that why it's kind of like there's a lot of money, but it's a lot to get into it?
Like one of those crusher densifier machines, I think is a couple $1,000,000.
No way.
Yeah, like
Jeez,
and don't quote me on it. I'm just
that's fine.
it's kind of a guess, but yeah, we're talking a couple $1,000,000, and then he's got two or
Wow.
three other pieces of equipment. But it's a very lucrative business because the price of aggregate, like rock and stuff, is
Yeah.
extremely insane right now. And
Hmm.
because all the roads that are being built and stuff, they all use aggregate too to make their asphalt.
Right.
So crushed concrete is now like you can get 57 size stone crushed concrete and save a considerable amount of money.
Hmm. That's
So yeah,
crazy.
I'll definitely get you in touch with him, and he would be cool to talk to.
Yeah. No, we're open. Just like you came on the podcast, we are open to having people who can give insight, over to things. And yeah, I mean, we just want to spotlight you guys and make the industry a big industry, smaller and tighter, and allow people to have more of a chance to not be chucking a truck, allow people, to be able to thrive and grow. Like your wisdom, we got so many nuggets out of this, and you have more than just what you're standing on the shoulders of giants, really, with your family and everything. So
Right.
um, yeah, man, love it. We're about to sign off, but before we do that, please do share a phone number, an email, website, anything you care to share, so that way people can reach out to you if they need what you guys do.
All right. Our phone number is 239-826-1278, and our any social media, we're the letter G, the and sign, the letter G, Site Service LLC, and that's our
Okay.
website. You can find us on Facebook, find us on Instagram, all that stuff. That's what our handle is.
Okay. Awesome. Where do I find you on Craigslist? What's the no? He's in the classified section. No,
Yep.
that's cool,
Yep.
man. That is
No,
cool.
no,
Okay.
I really appreciate it. This was a lot of fun. This is a first for me, so
You crushed it. You crushed it. You crushed it. Well, guys, you now know his story. You and I are going to hang out on the line. Anything last little tidbit to share before we sign off?
That's it, man. You guys just got to keep plugging away, one day at a time.
Love it. All right, man. Well, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate you. And we are going to stop recording in just a second. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
That's a wrap for this episode of Demolition Success Secrets. Stay tuned and subscribe for more explosive insights from our upcoming episodes. Until then, continue to blow up your demolition business and make the competition rubble in your path.